Welcome, everybody, to Understanding the Human Condition. I'm your host, Dr. James Flowers, and today we're going to talk about, what is it, Shay? Part 3 of a 3-part series with Candy Finnigan, Jeanie Griffin, and Tonda Chapman, who were here recently.
Right. And so today what we're talking about is an actual intervention. When you're having to do an intervention on someone, and it's kind of loosely based around Candy's book called When Enough is Enough.
That's right. Yeah.
And families getting to that point. So sit back and enjoy.
Candy, give us a piece of wisdom about interventions and for families who are considering an intervention. What should a family think about, look at?
That they've done all they can. You know, I wrote a book called When Enough is Enough, and the reason it's called that is because everybody has to hit that level.
Yeah.
And it's devastating for a family to have a mentally ill or an addictive kid or a wife, or I think husband and wives are kind of different because they're kind of used to that pattern. And as you were telling that story, I was laughing because when I got sober, my son said to me, maybe you should have a drink. Because, they got to school on time. I wasn't at home coloring with them and a few other things. So I think that really for me, what an intervention is when all else has failed. Yeah. And they don't hear your voice. And the worst thing about addiction, and I think mental illness, is that you don't know how bad you are. The denial part of it is what keeps so many people from getting well. And I'll quit tomorrow. I'll quit Monday. I won't drink till Thursday. Whatever you promise, you can't keep. And so I think an intervention is helping a family. I don't intervene on people. The family does. But I teach them what they will hear, what the consequences are if they don't get into recovery. And I teach them to keep boundaries. I try to get them to go to Al-Anon, which is like asking somebody to walk across the freeway, I guess.
Yeah.
It's like, to me, an intervention is a family process of teaching them how they can intervene on the person they love. It's nobody's job to love somebody to death in an addiction world.
Yeah.
Certainly there's situations that happen, but there is no such thing to me as an accidental overdose. Something could have been done. And so my interventions are teaching a family how to intervene. There's a circle. I don't sit in the circle. That isn't my circle. That's their circle. Yeah. And I, of course, get to reprimand people and, oh, that was nasty stuff, or something like that. But it's not my job. I don't know this person. When they walk in the room, they have no idea that a stranger in the room is. Usually it's them.
Jeanie, tell us the funniest thing that's ever happened to you during a family program.
Oh, well, I don't know why this came. I saw this kid. When we first start, the staff comes in, introduces all of themselves and everything, and we keep the clients out. And I said, I want 10 minutes with the families. So I'll say, what's your worst fear? And eventually somebody finally says death. And I say, yeah, because that's where this is headed. And then I'll say, now, don't take the bait. When your client comes in here, they're going to say things like, well, I'm only here for mental health. I'm not here for substance. Yeah, okay, whatever. And don't take the bait. I know you've taught them manners, so I don't care how awful they behave or how sweet and goody two-shoes they look. I'm not buying it. I've been doing this too long. So the families are all sitting there like, oh, dear, And I'll say, and don't worry about the cussing, because that was my first drug of choice as a child. Just cuss, cuss, cuss. And when I didn't get struck by lightning, I thought, okay, I could do this. Yeah. So I've had clients sit in the back, wear their caps, and say, F you. And the parents all get all stiff, and I think, don't worry about it. Let me handle it. You don't worry about it. And sure enough, as soon as I finish that, one of the clients will come in, and here we have one of them who's been a holy terror, but is now Mr. Goody Two-Shoes. And then one is just flipping me off and everything, won't do anything, and the parents are just dying. And I just say, let me handle it. Don't worry about that. And then finally, the one father of the guy who did that finally said, that's it. I'm not giving you your car. You can't have a phone. And then invariably when I go back to this center, this monthly, the guys that were telling me F you will come find me and see me. And I said, you're still alive. I don't believe it. Yeah, I'm live. And then he says, I'm working. I said, oh my God, you're being self-supporting through your own contributions. You are actually working. He says, yes. And I said, what are you doing? He said, well, I work for a vet. And he said, I express anal glands. And I hope I'm the one here on this program cussing a lot. I said, oh, so today you're getting rid of shit, and last year you were full of shit.
That is fantastic.
He died laughing. So fun. And then this one came up to me recently and said, are you here? And he said, yeah, but I'm having trouble with my parents. You think you could help? I said, sure. What's going on? I said, you still have the flip phone they got you, right? She said, I've got to have an iPhone. I said, no, you don't. The flip phone is just fine. You'll be just fine. And so now Samsung is advertising
They
a
just
flip phone.
phone. Exactly. I know.
So I love it. And see the laughter. Oh my gosh, the laughter.
So
When
important.
I first got into recovery and I looked for people like this, I was so grim and so serious. And I tell people, we don't have a hot and cold faucet for feelings, the good feelings and the bad feelings. So when we want to try to get rid of the bad feelings, we just turn off that one faucet. And when we do that, we're leaving out all the joy. And when you begin to finally walk through this stuff you're so frightened of or embarrassed about, ashamed, you recover the joy and laughter. Now, we just laugh. And when a woman asked me to go, said, come on over to the other room for substances. We have so much more fun. And I thought, you do. I look in that room and y'all are laughing. Somebody will say, yeah, I got out of jail and I walked across the street, got hit by a car. And everybody goes, ha, ha, ha. And I'm going, what is the matter with you people? And then over here in the other room, they're all very, P's and Q's and whatnot. And I think, yeah, I belong over here. And it's the laughter. The laughter, we can laugh about things that you can't even write this stuff.
Exactly.
You can't write this stuff. They'd say, no, nobody's going to believe that.
I believe it. Exactly.
So
Yeah, I love it.
I love it.
Tonda, I know you have a healthcare MBA and you can talk about leadership all day long, but from your heart, what do you believe about leadership? You've built an amazing program that you and I founded along with Michael several years ago, but you were always the leader. And tell me how you lead with your heart.
Well, I've really studied a lot of leadership styles, and servant leadership is my style. I love to join people. I look at what they're trying to reach, and I try to empower them, join them in the path, make sure they have the resources they need to grow, and just really joining in the process.
Yeah.
And servant leadership goes back to the spiritual person that I am. And I think servant leadership it rises above. I've read a lot of books on leadership, leading at a higher level, Keith Blanchard, but servant leadership tops it off.
Yeah.
My mom calls me the Pied Piper. When I walk through a baseball park, all these kids are hanging on me. She's like, you know those kids? I said, no, they just know me. They come to me. They are attracted.
They see you in
I
the
said,
games.
yeah, they know I love kids. They know. And I think leadership is that way. When people know you care, they don't care what you know until they know that you care. And that's just who I am. Got that from my grandmother. My gran was my mentor. She loved all people and just gave me a servant leadership heart.
I
So,
believe-
Dr. Flowers, why are you still in this business? What makes you
Did
care?
someone just turn the table?
That's it.
What makes you care so much? Because I know, because I've known you since, early 90s, but you've never not kept progressing, whether it was treatment centers, one of the finest clinicians when it comes to pain management, that I now do pain management interventions, which are very rarely done because of you. But why have you kept believing in this?
Oh, wow. She just did turn the tables on me, didn't you?
Yeah.
Is my face red?
Yes.
Well, we have known each other for a long time. We've worked together. I've even assisted in some of your interventions over the years. And, gosh, I can't believe I've been doing this over 30 years now. That is insane. We are old. We all are. And, mine comes from my passion of my childhood. I'm from South Texas. I grew up in a rural community. And my father was a workaholic, alcoholic, cheated on my mom, beat my mom. My mom was an alcoholic, Valium addict, traumatized woman who got married when she was 16 years old, left McAllen, moved to Alice, Texas. had 2 twin boys that died at birth, and it goes on and on and on. And my family has been through so much death that it's even beyond my comprehension. And in fact, my niece Marie Earthman and I we were just talking in Nantucket last week, and we were sitting down and we were talking about the family trauma that we have, and we just started laughing. We literally fell over laughing.
Who could have survived?
Who could have survived it? And she said, we have to do a podcast. And so forthcoming is the podcast series with Marie Earthman and James Flowers.
Good.
And she's going to be brilliant because she's brilliant in the social media area. But we talked about the passion we have and the passion that I have for helping other people. And I'm an adult child of an alcoholic. I'm an adult child of a family of alcoholics and drug addicts. And it just goes, it's beyond me, other than my God, as to why I am not an alcoholic, why I'm not dead, and why I'm not alive. My family was so incredibly dysfunctional. Gosh, Candy, I could go 5 more hours on this, so I won't.
And I
But-
witnessed what a wonderful son you were,
Thank you.
and no matter what, and what an absolutely, this kind of makes me teary, amazing uncle you are.
Thank you.
They certainly come first.
Yeah.
When I met you, I knew about them before I knew about you.
Yeah.
But the passion that you have and the realization, especially with pain management, which I think is so overlooked in our business, and that the psychological pain and the rebound pain before that, I'd never heard of any of that. That's not taught. That's learned. That's learned from your experience.
Yeah.
And it's just that you never, it's like the little energized bunny, just as soon as you change batteries, you think, oh, okay, there it is. And it's like, it's got new batteries and they're stronger and it's
Something
going
else pops
faster.
up. Yeah,
So,
exactly. Yeah.
I'm immensely proud to know you.
Thank you.
I get really teary when I think about people like us who dedicated their lives to this, and not only what's going on, but that honestly to share the caring and the love for those desperations, that we've both been spared. All of us have been spared to be able to be well enough to help somebody.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yay,
I wake
you.
up. I don't feel like I work. I know you guys don't feel like you
Yeah.
work. I know you don't feel like you work, and you work
Well,
your butt off every day.
depends.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. So working with some families, we do feel like
That's
we're
right,
working.
yeah.
Exactly. But it is a passion, and I wake up every day grateful and full of gratitude, and thank God every day for my life and what I have in my life, and the people that I have in my life, and the family that I have. And life is
Real
amazing.
help.
And I believe that we are limitless in our abilities.
Yes.
I think that we can I am a true example of being able to truly, you talked about manifestation a while ago. I'm going to use that word, manifest. I have manifested my life. I, like you, Candy, come from an old wealthy South Texas family. You come from Kansas. I didn't inherit anything, by the way, from anybody. I worked for everything I did, but I manifested it, and I did it with the help of myself, my God, education, and hard
people who
work
loved
and
you,
passion, and
believed in
people
you.
who love me,
And listening to your intuition.
and listening to my own intuition.
That's where
Yeah.
your higher power speaks to you.
Every
through the
day,
intuition.
all day long, all day and all
But the
night.
amazing thing about you, James, is that you always figure out what's missing. Where we all try to figure out how we can make something better that's created. Not James. Okay, I'm going to take this ugly piece of property and I'm going to turn it around. I'm going to make it to a spiritual place. And, and then when they don't allow you to do that, you go, I'm out of here. And then you're on to the next.
Yeah, me too.
Right, yeah.
So that's an amazing thing that when it works, but you're not going to stand by and let somebody ruin it.
Right.
And you go right to the next. That's an astounding survival, that you have. I remember you saying to me in Arizona, one thing that's missing is a diagnostic center. And we tried to do it at this treatment center in Arizona, and they wouldn't let us because so many times they didn't need to be in treatment. And he would go, they don't need to be here. And they'd go, can't you make them? They'd go, no.
Yeah, and I was
And-
told never write that in the chart.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, but to have this diagnostic center and this institute where nothing is overlooked,
Yeah.
one of a kind.
Thank you so much.
One of a kind.
Thank you for joining us today on Understanding the Human Condition with Candy Finnigan and Jeanie Griffin. As always, if you have questions about J. Flowers Health Institute, please please look us up at www.jflowershealth.com. Thanks so much. Have a great day.